Okay, I'll call the Commissioners' meeting. Oh, thanks. Usually, not sure how that happened. Okay, thanks, John. All right, so I will call the Commissioners' meeting of July 5th, 2023 to order. Welcome back, Patrick Rambo, our veteran, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And it's always nice to see Sister Monica, who has a special invocation for us today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This prayer is from our first president 247 years ago. Almighty God, we make our earnest prayer that thou wilt keep the United States in thy holy protection, that thou wilt incline the hearts of the citizens to cultivate a spirit of subordination and obedience to government and entertain a brotherly affection and love for one another and for their fellow citizens of the United States at large. And finally, that thou wilt most graciously be pleased to dispose us all to do justice, to love mercy, and to demean ourselves with that charity, humility, and pacific temper of mind, which were the characteristics of the divine author of our blessed religion, without a humble imitation of whose example in these things we can never hope to be a happy nation. Grant all our supplications, we beseech thee. Amen.
For those joining us today, if you're not familiar with Natasha Rohrbal, we welcome her. She is she is the Deputy Controller, and she is filling in today for Greg Bauer, who's the Controller, who is unable to be with us. So glad to have you, Natasha. All right, if we can move on to item number 2 on the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 21st, 2023 Board of Commissioners meeting as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will open it up for any public comment. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as listed below for the Office of Children, Youth, and Families.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Claire?
Good morning. It's good to be back. So what you'll see on this consent agenda or for this commissioners meeting is our routine subsidy agreements for adoption. You'll also see some changes in agreements as far as some of the costs for the services. What you will notice moving forward is we're taking a look at what items are on the consent agenda, what are really routine and recurring compared to what's maybe, on it less frequently. So you'll see more of these items move to the motion section, and we'll provide a little more detail with the description of what these what you're approving.
Great, thanks.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to new business.
I make a motion to approve the purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Information Technology Services Department and Momentum ECM LLC, Lemoyne, Pennsylvania, for document management software licensing maintenance from June 30th, 2023 to June 29th, 2024, for a total cost of $107,957 under a PA CoStarz contract.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve an agreement between the County of York on behalf of the Department of Emergency Services 911 and the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources to supply 3 mobile data computers to the DCNR for use in their law enforcement vehicles, and the terms for which the DCNR will reimburse the county for the expense.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to ratify a contract between the County of York on behalf of the Facilities Management Department and Freepoint Energy Solutions, LLC, Houston, Texas, for the purchase of electricity for all county facilities for calendar year 2024 at a rate of .07020 per kilowatt hour.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve a contract between the County of York on behalf of the York County Prison and Lobar Associates, Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, for architectural and engineering services for the conversion of a housing unit located in the prison into a juvenile detention center for a total cost of $83,853.40 under the Keystone Purchasing Network Program. And this approval of this contract is contingent on the approval of the Prison Board of Inspectors.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think we've been talking about this for a while, and obviously the Prison Board will make a recommendation, and we have a Prison Board meeting next Wednesday, so hopefully that'll pass.
We certainly know this is a need not just in our community, but in communities across the Commonwealth, given a lack of detention beds available. And as Commissioner Hoke said, this is pending the approval of the Prison Board of Inspectors, but should it be approved, we'll be looking for anywhere between 8 to 12 beds right here in York County to take care of our youth. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve a contract between the County of York on behalf of the Youth Development Center and the County of Berks to house juveniles at a rate of $576.50 per day for the period of May 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This certainly ties to the previous motion. Certainly, when we have our own facility, we won't have to look for bed space outside of the county. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve a letter of agreement and HIPAA Business Associate Agreement between the County of York on behalf of the York County Office of Children, Youth, and Families and Advantage Telemessaging, Inc., West Reading, Pennsylvania, to provide after-hours telephone answering services at a rate of $925 per month for 1,000 minutes, 90 cents per minute overage, email messaging service for $12 per month, voicemail pre-screened message for $30 per month, patch charges for 65 cents per patch, and holiday charge at a flat per-day charge of $9.95 for months, containing one of the 7 major holidays for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I may ask Claire, that was a long agenda item and a lot in it. What actually is this doing in the benefit to children and youth? I guess,
So yes, this is the after hours, so when we do not have our office staffed, this agreement allows us to receive the calls and then those calls to be routed to the on-call staff.
so previous to this, we were doing what with,
No, we still had a service.
Okay. all right. Thanks a lot.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the weekly disbursements for the week of June 28th, 2023, totaling $10,209,785.26.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the weekly disbursement for week of July 5th, 2023, totaling $6,672,517.69.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We'll move on to appointments.
I make a motion to approve the reappointment of Karen Mansberger to the York County Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council for a 3-year term effective May 1st, 2023 through April 20th, 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I make a motion to approve the appointment of Sully Pinos to the South Central Workforce Investment Board for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2023 through June 30, 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We'll move on to resolutions.
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-15, advocating for increased funding for county mental health services in the 2023-2024 state budget.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We certainly know that Pennsylvania has not invested adequately in critical community resources, and funds at the state budget level have been cut since 2008. So this resolution, along with the second resolution, are two of the priorities for the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania. So we are supporting other counties across the Commonwealth who are struggling with the same issues regarding mental health funding, and also the second resolution regarding future 911 funding. The county certainly supports appropriating. I think folks know there's $100 million of the state and federal ALPR funding that's been allocated for mental health. We certainly are supportive of that funding getting allocated to the counties across the Commonwealth. I'm not sure if Claire or Casey want to share any comments regarding mental health funding.
I think I should just take a seat right there.
Yeah.
So just a quick thank you for recognizing and definitely recognizing this need. Since 2008, there has not been increases, and hats off to Casey and her team for being able to find creative ways to continue services, to be able to try to meet the needs of the community. But I think we're at a critical point here where we have to start seeing funding increases to keep up with the increase in wages and cost of the service providers. So thank you.
Thanks, Claire.
I think the budget now is under real scrutiny because they passed the timeline. So this is a very timely resolution we're passing, that it will be passed on to legislators, and they know our wishes. So it's a good idea.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-16, advocating for adequate and dedicated funding for the county 911 services.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Just a little background on this one as well. For those of you that aren't aware, in 2015, the General Assembly approved legislation that became what's called Act 12. It was a comprehensive rewrite to the 911 Public Safety Emergency Telephone Act. And part of the result of that act was funding sources supporting counties and their 911 services. And it was a surcharge of $1.65 that was levied on communication services. For those of you that don't know, this authorization expires at the end of January of next year. And so, again, we are standing with other counties across the Commonwealth that our General Assembly take a look at the funding coming to 911. Currently in York County, we fund 68% of the operations of 911, so it's not something that gets fully funded from the state. On average, if you average all of the 67 counties across the Commonwealth, the average is about 65%. So the average funding counties have to put forward is 65% of their own to fund 911 facilities. If the funding levels aren't changed, the counties will see upwards of covering the cost of 75%, so an increase of roughly 10 to 11% over what we're having to fund now. I think we all probably agree that public safety is certainly an important role that counties have to play across the Commonwealth.
And if I'm not sure, but is the recommended a 5-year term on this, and there's an
5-year term.
accelerator in it too for inflation?
Correct.
Right, okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There were no executive sessions from our last meeting. We do have a proclamation I believe Commissioner Smith is going to read today for the SPCA.
This is for the SPCA of York County Spay Neuter Clinic 10-year anniversary. Whereas York County SPCA Clinic first opened its doors in 2013, it has performed more than 75,000 spay-neuter surgeries. Last year, the clinic performed a record-breaking 10,021 surgeries. 6,298 of these surgeries were on a community CATS, And in December 2015, Dr. Kimberly Mann joined the SPCA as a clinic veterinarian and later became the clinical medical director. Supporting her and leading the team of veterinary technicians is Brett Nickel, the veterinary operations manager who joined the SPCA in 2021. And the York County SPCA is home to the largest high-volume, low-cost clinic dedicated exclusively to spay-neuter surgeries in York County. And under their leadership, the clinic has continued to shatter records each year for the number of surgeries their team can perform and the impact they are having on the lives of animals in York County. And the milestone puts the York County SPCA spay-neuter clinic in the top 0.2% most productive spay-neuter clinics in the country. An aggressive spay-neuter program like the one at the York County SPCA is the only proven humane way of controlling animal overpopulation. And the York County SPCA's spay-neuter clinic is something we as York Countyans can be proud of. It sets us apart from many other communities, not just in Pennsylvania, but in the country. Now, therefore, we, the Commissioners of York County, Pennsylvania, do hereby want to thank Dr. Kimberly Mann, Brett Nickel, and the entire SPCA team for what they do to build a better York County in this day in York and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on the 5th day of July in the year of our Lord 2023. And it's signed by the York County Board of Commissioners.
I know we have a bunch of staff here from the SPCA. Steve, did you want to share any remarks at this time? Okay.
In York County, one outdoor female cat can have on average about, say, 3 litters of kittens per year. And they'll have about three kittens per litter, so it's quite a lot. And they can live up to 12 to 15 years outside on their own, on average. So last year you read that Dr. Mann's team, they did about, I say 6,300 surgeries just on outdoor cats. So if you think about that, like imagine what our communities look like if this clinic didn't exist. It's a pretty phenomenal operation that they have going on there. And so I wanted to thank 2 groups of people. First of all, for the commissioners, for the county, for investing and helping us bring this clinic to the community. It's been an incredible investment, and I appreciate your acknowledging the impact that we've had in our communities. And Commissioner Hoke in particular, I know at that time you were instrumental in your leadership in bringing this clinic to our community. So thank you so much for doing that and for acknowledging the hard work of my team. And then, of course, I'd have to acknowledge the team as well. We have here Dr. Kimberly Mann and Brett Nickel, who are the leaders. So Dr. Mann is our medical director and does all those 10,000 surgeries. One person, 10,000 surgeries. It's pretty incredible. And, of course, Brett is leading that whole tech team in doing that. And so I remember I was talking to a few folks back in 2013 when they brought the clinic here. And they were saying, we remember like back in that day, we hoped someday the clinic would do 35 surgeries a day. That was their big dream, that someday we would grow the clinic to do 35 surgeries. And now Dr. Mann and her team, they're averaging 60 surgeries a day. So it's pretty phenomenal what this team has built over there. So I'm really proud of their work and for your leadership, and I feel grateful to be a part of this community. So thank you so much for this proclamation. It means a lot to us.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I just want to say that, as Steve alluded to, back in, I guess, maybe 12 or 2011, they started talking about this and coming in. And I know Kathy King was I think, chair of your board then, and her husband Ty actually flew some people down to, I want to say, South Carolina to actually visit a spay-neuter clinic and came back with some very good news. So I think it's been a good investment by the county. And I know your save rate is up there way high, and you do a great job out there, you and your staff. So thanks for everything you do. We really appreciate it.
And I believe you just renovated the facility, if I recall. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. All right, well, hopefully Kathy King is watching from somewhere maybe in Florida. I
Yeah.
think that's where they're at. Okay. We'll open it up for any public comment. Okay. If I could have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. And on to Salary Board.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 21st, 2023 Salary Board meeting as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Open it up for any public comment. Okay, on to item number 4.
I make a motion to approve the positions, salaries, hours of work, and fringe benefits as provided by existing collective bargaining agreements or as set forth in the York County Employee Handbook or York County Policy Manual for the following departments and row offices as listed below, with no additional benefits or concessions unless otherwise noted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. An executive session of the Salary Board was held on June 26, 2023, for the purpose of discussing general personnel matters to include discussions on salary modifications, job description reviews, and reclassification reviews related to the Register of Wills Office and the Sheriff's Office. The Salary Board discussed and received information and advice regarding such matters. The Salary Board did not adopt any policy, procedure, or take any formal action on such matters. Any items upon which action has been requested would be included as a motion on the agenda. I'll open it up again for any public comment. Hearing none, if I could have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned. Everyone, have a great day. And Steve? 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 We'll do a photo.
3 minutes selfie.